What 90s NFL moments still give you chills? Let's rewind to a decade packed with dynasties, record-shattering stars, and unforgettable gridiron drama. From the rise of the Cowboys and 49ers to the rivalries that defined Sundays, the 90s didn't just make history, they owned it. For the Dallas Cowboys, the early to mid-90s were a football renaissance. Under head coaches Jimmy Johnson and later Barry Switzer, the Cowboys were a speed, discipline, and plain old star power machine. The triplets, namely quarterback Troy Aikman, running back Emmitt Smith, and wide receiver Michael Irvin, were one of the most lethal offensive trios in NFL history. Aikman's laser-accurate passing, Smith's punishing yet elusive running skills, and Irvin's physicality and route running made them nightmares to defend. Between 1992 and 1995, the Cowboys enjoyed 3 Super Bowls within a span of 4 years, defeating the Buffalo Bills twice, Super Bowl 27 and Super Bowl 28, and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 30. Emmitt Smith especially became part of the all-time greats, being named Super Bowl MVP in 1994 after the 1993 season, and then the NFL's all-time leading rusher. The Cowboys' line, anchored by Hall of Famers Nate Newton and Larry Allen, was the unheralded solid foundation that opened the way for such success, always one of the league's finest units. But while Dallas was basking in the attention, the San Francisco 49ers were not going to let it happen. Having lost Joe Montana, Steve Young emerged as the franchise's new superstar. Following a criticism of Young's abilities, the detractors were mute after one of the finest Super Bowl performances in history in Super Bowl 29 in January 1995. Young threw a then-record 6 touchdown passes as the 49ers defeated the San Diego Chargers 49-26 to capture their 5th Lombardi Trophy and claim Young as the game's MVP. His last line, 24 of 36 for 325 yards and not an interception, a dazzling display of accuracy and elusiveness. Throughout the decade's first half, the NFC Championship felt more like the actual Super Bowl, with the Cowboy and 49ers locked in an endless battle for a chance to play on the biggest stage. Between the 1992 and 1994 seasons, Dallas and San Francisco met 3 straight times in the NFC Championship game. Every game was teeming with Hall of Famers on both sides. Charles Haley, who played for each team only once, Deion Sanders, who had won a championship with each team, and non-stop offense firepower. These games weren't simply struggles of X's and O's, they were cultural events commanding ratings and sparking fiery arguments amongst fans and journalists. They each had their part in the aesthetic transformation of 90s football: speed and athleticism on defense, high-flying West Coast passing games, and charming players who transcended fame to become family names. Together, they wrote some of the decade's most memorable pages, legacies that echo throughout NFL history. The 90s weren't just about dynasties, it was a decade packed with straight-up legends. These guys didn't just play the game, they changed how it was played. If you're enjoying this dive into NFL history, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more fans find the channel and keeps the content coming. No name epitomizes tireless persistence more than Emmitt Smith. The Cowboys' tailback superstar spent the 90s bludgeoning defenses into submission behind that great Dallas O-line. As of October 27, 2002, he had officially broken Walter Payton's all-time rushing record, but it was the groundwork in the 1990s that provided the foundation for it. Smith's 1993 campaign was a work of art. Nursing a separated shoulder, he led Dallas to a Week 17 win at the Giants and then won the NFL MVP and Super Bowl 28 MVP. He finished the decade with over 13,000 rushing yards and over 100 rushing touchdowns and established himself as one of the league's best workhorses. If the 90s were a highlight reel, then Jerry Rice was the highlight. Already a household name in the 1980s, Rice continued his campaign against NFL records deep into the following decade. He established the NFL record for career receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, a mind-boggling total that remains to this day. In 1995 alone, he registered a single-season record 1,848 receiving yards, a mark that would last almost 2 decades. Even injuries couldn't keep him out for long. Rice notoriously recovered from a torn ACL in record time, which went further to cement his mythical work ethic. At the same time, the Green Bay Packers were enjoying a renaissance on the strength of a cannon-armed gunslinger by the name of Brett Favre. Signed away from Atlanta in 1992 by Green Bay, Favre exploded into Lambeau Field with his cannon arm and daredevil style. From 1995 to 1997, he was the first NFL player to win 3 straight NFL MVP awards, a record that still remains today. His 1996 season led to a Super Bowl 31 victory, in which he threw 2 touchdown passes and 1 running touchdown. Favre finished the 90s with a streak of starting all games since becoming the regular starter, a streak that would eventually grow to 297 consecutive games, a testament to toughness and will to fight. The 1990s did not only produce football games, cinematic spectacles, but also stories so incredible they must have been written. There are 2 instances worth mentioning, one that redefined gridiron drama, and the other that blended pop culture with the Super Bowl permanently. January 3rd, 1993, Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. Snow-covered ground, icy cold in the stands. Bills loyalists were all bundled up, but only for so long, because what was to soon unfold would become remembered in NFL playoff lore as the greatest comeback in history. The Buffalo Bills were being pummeled 35-3 by the Houston Oilers at the midpoint of the third quarter. Reserve quarterback Frank Reich was at the helm in place of an injured Jim Kelly. Spectators were going crazy. Beer cups were sliding down slick aisles. Even the broadcasting team was threatening to pack it in. Then, lightning did strike. Reich found Don Beebe for a quick touchdown. The defense came up with a turnover. Andre Reed, manacle-like, scooped up 3 touchdowns in the second half. The stadium, which was deathly quiet just moments before, erupted into loud cheers. Houston's offense, spearheaded by Warren Moon, suddenly became shaky. Steve Christie finally kicked a 32-yard field goal in overtime to secure an improbable 41-38 win for Buffalo. This was not a ball player's comeback. This was one stating perseverance, determination, and not giving up. Frank Reich's performance ranks as one of the NFL's all-time best clutch performances and got Buffalo into their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl appearance. The 90s were also the decade of the rise of the Super Bowl halftime show as a global entertainment phenomenon. It all came down to January 31st, 1993 for Super Bowl 28 at Pasadena's Rose Bowl. The NFL brought in the king of pop, Michael Jackson, and he produced a halftime show that changed halftime shows forever. From the time Jackson froze on stage for more than a minute, through his explosive performances of Jam, Billie Jean, Black or White, and crowd-pleasing Heal the World, the broadcast reached an audience of an estimated 133.4 million in the United States alone. Jackson's performance attracted more individuals than the game itself in certain situations, proving that the Super Bowl was not merely a sporting event, it was an event. His act opened the door for subsequent super acts such as Diana Ross, U2, and more recently Beyoncé, making halftime events as large as the game itself. The 1990s were not splash plays in isolation. They reshaped the very nature of the NFL. In 1995, 2 franchises entered the league: the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Amazingly, both teams made conference championship games within their first 2 seasons, establishing that expansion franchises could compete, not be doormats. Simultaneously, 1994 saw the introduction of the salary cap, radically altering team-building strategies. No longer were deep pockets able to hoard stars. Teams were forced to hold in check super contracts with tight-fisted budgets. Parity went ballistic throughout the league, then as a dozen various clubs made the Super Bowl in the later half of the decade. These patterns rendered the NFL the most competitive and unpredictable ever, the harbinger of the modern era of any given Sunday. The 90s witnessed the media landscape dramatically evolve. Fox outbid CBS to acquire NFC broadcast rights in 1994, revolutionizing football broadcasting to the masses. Edgy music, shiny visuals, and showmen like John Madden himself brought a modern flavor to NFL broadcasts. Speaking of Madden, the video game likewise skyrocketed in popularity during the 1990s. Published annually on consoles like Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, the Madden NFL series became an unstoppable cultural force, inducting a new generation into the sport through virtual playbooks and pixelated touchdowns. If you could relive just one NFL moment from the 90s, which would it be? Drop your pick in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep riding with us for more football flashbacks. See you on the next one.